Hey everyone, I'm just gonna have a quick demo of my multi-arcade creation here. As you can see, it's using Maximus arcade front end. The front end is just the software that enables you to put all these different emulators all under one roof and make it a little more user-friendly. I'll just give you an example of just going to Nintendo here. So when you're in these menus, you can move up and down by letter. See, it's going to D, E, or you can go by jump about 20, or obviously one at a time. And I'm using a dual. I'll pull the camera away and show you the whole arcade here. I just want to give the video portion first. But I'm doing everything from the controls, from the joystick controller and button. So. And all these emulations are exactly like, it's not like they're trying to be or pretending to be a certain game. I mean, they're exactly like the original games. So let's back out of that. Okay, so go to Daphne. Daphne's all the old Laserdisc games, like Space Ace and Dragon's Lair. We're going to Dragon's Lair real quick here.
Dragon's Lair, a fantasy adventure where you become a valiant knight on a quest to rescue the fair princess.
Basically, here you just add some coins and start up a game. Let's go ahead and let Derp die here. Okay. You can adjust the volume in here too. I have everything down a little bit, so I'm trying to get back up. Okay, well let's back out of that. Let's go over the Mame, which is the big dog. There's over 5,000 games in here. And almost all of them have, you'll see a little image off to the left of the game. Probably 90% of the games have an image, just give you a screenshot of what the game is. Like I mentioned as well, you can jump up and down by letter, go by 20s, because when you're dealing with so many games, it's just difficult. But what the big thing here is you can categorize everything. So that makes a big difference. I've created a favorites menu, and then all these trackball, miscellaneous, pinball, sports, baseball, basketball, on driving games. Those are, and I'll show you the back end where you can create more categories. But those are the ones that the computer actually created. So it has a specific baseball, and it puts all the baseball games into one thing. It actually doesn't get all of them. And most of the games that are have baseball in the name, or it's just specifically identified with the software as a baseball game somehow. I don't know, but because you'll notice that some of these categories, like golf, probably not all the golf games there. I know trackball, like they don't put millipede or centipede in there, which those are trackball games. But I mean, whenever you find those games, you can add them in yourself. But let's go into favorites. And like I mentioned, all these games are exactly like the originals. It's not pretending to be. It's just like it. And you'll get this. Some will say there's something maybe slightly wrong with an error in the software, something like that. Usually, a lot of times, it's just very minor, like maybe that sound right there, that crashing sound is a little distorted or something's not exactly or perfect. Back out of that. And let's see here. Donkey Kong. Dig Dug. A good example is let's go to Centipede. So this is great too because a lot of the main versions you see out there are hard to get to work with these front ends, and a lot of times you can't get the trackball to work. So a lot of these trackball games you have to use the joystick, but I have the trackball working on here. Another great example is Tempest, which is an old spin dial. I have it set up for us to trackball, and it actually works really well. It has very similar playability as using that spinner on the Tempest game. But one thing as well, I'll show you here, you can pause mid-game, and then this is the main user interface. So now input general is basically if you want to change the programming on every game. So whatever you change, and that will affect every single 5,000 games. So generally you only do it 2 things in here. Let's say a good example is like Defender. There's a lot of buttons to program on that, or there's a lot of buttons that it's already programmed, but you can change it because some people may want to have the reverse button somewhere else, and some maybe want to switch the fire and the thrust, and however you want to do it, you can go in and change those controls within the game. So if you'll notice here, like player 1 up, down, left, right, whatever, it says keyboard number 8. So that's what all these controllers always do, is they emulate keyboard strokes. And I'll have a little chart that shows you what each button is named or labeled as. That way when you see it in here, you know which button that is. And then whenever you change something, it's very, very simple. I'll show you right here. I'll just do player 1 start. All you do is just go to it, hit the button that opens it up, and then assign that key. So I just put it right, the same as it was. But that's all there is to it. It's really, really simple, and then for this particular game, those changes will always stay. You don't have to keep programming it. So it's that guy is again. Actually, and another thing as well is you should probably utilize maybe is dip switches. So all these games have dip switches, and that's just where you can change the amount of lives, where you get a bonus life at, difficulty. So all these games have these types of functions where you can change. Let's go ahead and get back out of this game. Let's go into the back. So as well, the skee ball acts as your mouse as well, even when you're in Windows normally. So and there's buttons on the sides of the controller, which are kind of like where you use for like pinball flipper buttons or something like that. But the ones up, there's 2 on each side. The ones up top act as your right and left click on your mouse. So we're going to go into preferences. As you can see from here, you can exit out of the front end, which is this software. It takes you back into Windows, or you can shut down your computer altogether from this point. It's what you'll always utilize when you want to get out of the whole system or shut things down. So let's go to preferences, and I'll show you here real quick. Just give you an idea. These are the emulators I have on here: Nintendo 64, 2600, regular Nintendo, Sega, Daphne, which is the Laserdisc games, and Mame. So over here are all the other emulation systems that are compatible to be put into this front end. As you can see, it's pretty numerous. All your Sega stuff and So, and all this stuff is available online. You can go download these types of things for free, and then get the games. You got to do the games one at a time, and they're not going to have, you know, the art, box art, like I have everything in here. There's quite a few other things that you have to kind of go find and get, but in general you should be able to get the emulators and the games. And if you go on some certain torrents, you might be able to find some, you know, whole packages of, you know, Atari 2600 games or something like that, and not have to download each individual game. But it doesn't take long. Each game maybe takes, you know, 30 seconds or something like that. And that's the beauty about Mame as well too, is that as, you know, time goes by and those particular games are no longer for sale on the market, they become freeware in essence. So you'll always be able to kind of add games down the road, whatever ones you want. Just grab one and throw. And it's simple as just throwing it into a folder in your Windows. One thing here is, well, games list. That's what I was telling you about, where you create the categories within Mame, and you can do it on all your systems. But Mame is probably the main one, since there's so many games. You got to really kind of keep these things organized in a certain fashion. A good example right here, ball and paddle. I mean, these are all the categories. So you can see you can create driving boat games or driving plane or whatever. And this is a pretty large list. And then you can create your own title as well back here in the normal games list. But basically, like, if I were to do ball and paddle, I'd just say build list, and it would take like 30 seconds, and it would build a list of all the ball and paddle games in Mame. And of course, like I mentioned, it doesn't get all of them, and you probably just go in and throw ones in there that you want to have in that category. And here as well, so you can create my own title list wherever I wanted for it, and you can set up the order and all that kind of biz. I'll show you real quick too, is if you ever download something and you put it on, let's say I wanted to do Atari links or something like that, so I would have downloaded it from some website, and then I would go back, and here's all my emulators. So I'll give an example, like if I was doing Nintendo 64 for the first time, this would be where it would be at folders. There's my ROMs, which have all the games in it. Then you do what's called an executable file, which is the actual emulator. So I would, if this was, you know, if I was redoing Project 64, Nintendo 64, I simply click on that, and if I have these folders, see, I have snaps folder, and I have marquees as well, and then back here I have the ROM, so this is all in the same area. So once I were to highlight that executable file, put it here, actually then Maximus fills in all the other folders for you. So if it sees that, you know, a media folder and your snaps folder, which is your images and stuff like that, it'll automatically populate those for you. So it's pretty user friendly. Well, and let's leave out of here and head back. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I can't. Oh, I'm going to show you the actual cabinet. So here's the controller. It's the dual controller with the ski ball. And I just refurbished an old Super Hang-On, which I think is pretty cool. Probably one of the coolest ones I've made, because I've never had that kind of molding up top. It's usually just a standard wood cabinet. These are pretty hard to come by, you know, in still good shape. And it still has some of the coin doors and everything like that. And I've got it rigged to where you just press this for powering on. It turns on the computer, which turns on everything for you. So it's just one button. So it makes it real simple. Well, that's it, folks. If you got any questions, please feel free to email me, and I'll see if I can answer them.